Brought to you by Lister Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, Jordan here with Lister Pros TV, and today we're on Real Estate Pros, and today we have a special guest, Christine Bayer of New Traditions Realty. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the art of new construction, why you would hire an agent, and all the representation and the little things about new construction that you may want to consider if you're a buyer or even an agent, educating your buyers around that specific things. But we'll give Christine a few minutes to introduce herself. So let us know, how long you've been in the business, your background, and
Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah.
My name is Christine Bayer, and I have been in the business for 11 years. I work for New Traditions Realty. I was a teacher probably about 24 years ago, and I taught first grade and kindergarten. And then I stayed home with my 3 daughters for the span in between that, and then became a realtor 11 years ago. I think my teaching and being a mom helped me a lot as a realtor, because I educate my clients about this very scary process that they're jumping into. I mean, buying or selling a home is one of the biggest things you'll do in life, and it's usually a lot of money, and so people are very nervous. So try to calm their anxieties and teach them about everything we're going to go through.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, new construction, and as a real, those are life events, when you move.
Right.
And, on the topic of new construction, me and my wife recently purchased a home, but it was a resale. But we also went into some of the new builds out in the Eastmark area. There's a lot of different development and builders out there. So I'm going to keep that in mind whenever we have this conversation about new construction, because, man, they are very friendly when you go in there and you're just checking out. We were actually in there just looking at different staging and stuff like that. But anyways.
I think, Jordan, you have to be really careful, because I think a lot of people go in and they're not really looking to buy yet, but they think that looking at the new homes is fun, and they sign in. And I have had clients that did that, and a year later they came back to me and said, I'm really serious about purchasing a home. And we went back to the new construction, and I tried to sign them in and to represent them. And this particular builder said that sign-in lasted for a lifetime. They would not let them be represented by a realtor. That's
crazy. You would think that should expire, because, I'm interested a month, and then a year or 2 or 3 years goes by. And
right, you would think so. And that's one of the things I've become passionate about, not just educating my clients, but educating people that when you go into a new build model home, those agents are really, really nice. And I am not saying anything against those agents, but they are employed and work for those builders that own those homes and that own the construction sites. And so they do not have your wants and needs as their first priority. And so it's 100% always a great idea to get a realtor to represent you. And as a buyer in Arizona, I don't think many people know that you are not paying the realtor. The sellers pay the realtor. And so sometimes, in the past, builders have offered like $500 if you don't have a realtor representing you. But I will tell you factually that I've saved my clients thousands of dollars and gotten them more incentives than that $500 they would have gotten by not being represented. So I think that if you are interested in a new construction, or you think you might be looking at purchasing a new home in the future, just be very careful when you do go into these new builds, and don't sign in.
No.
If you can't, I would tell you not to sign in.
Absolutely. So a lot of these, even though it is set up like the builders, they set it up very nicely, introduce instructions,
they're very, very nice.
And you go through. But at the end of the day, the agents that are at those offices have the builder's best interest at heart.
They do.
And so if they sign in early without buyer representation, even not saving $500, but having representation on the buyer side could potentially save $1,000,
It
and
really
the negotiation part of it
Exactly.
and everything else.
Right.
So I think a lot of buyers just say, okay, so it's a new construction. I go in there, their pricing is already set. What value is an agent going to bring to me? So talk to us a little bit about the value that an agent brings to the transaction in the new construction realm of real estate.
I'm so glad that you asked that, Jordan, because an agent is tremendously valuable to you. The new construction contract is different than our resale contract, and it is written for the builder. And so you really need representation for someone to explain that the different phases of that contract, and that your earnest money is most of the time hard money, that you're not going to be getting that back, and that, in explaining going through that different process. The other thing is there are a lot of incentives that they don't offer right when you walk into the model home that I, as a realtor, when I'm representing my clients, I will continue to ask for things. What do you think? Could you maybe do blinds? Could we maybe get, one of the big things I always ask for is, can you give us a reduction in the lot price? Because the lot prices, they do change, and those are not always set in stone. And you don't know if you're going to get something until you ask. And if they have no one else interested in that house or that lot, they will work with you. So after I've gotten some more incentives for my clients, the next thing that I do is that I stay with them during the contract writing process, making sure that they are represented and everything is in their favor too. And the last most important thing is when we go, in between, it is during that construction, I advise my clients, and I do too, to go and meet the superintendent, stay in contact with that superintendent, and let's get on top of problems right when they happen. Don't just let your house be built and then we're like, oh, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. So I advise them and try to do that with them, and we all get to know the superintendent and continue to go by. And I advise my clients to remember what they asked for at the design center and to make sure that that's what they're getting in their construction. And lastly, when we go to close, this is a really big area. Not only does the agent standing in the model home work for the builder of that construction site, but most of the times they'll give you an incentive to use their lender. So their lender works for them. I shouldn't say that, but they are connected. And then you'll go to a title company that is affiliated with the builder. And so you really are the odd man out unless you do have representation of someone reading through that settlement statement and making sure that all your numbers are right. And this is where I have saved my clients thousands of dollars, where they were charged appraisal fees or HOA fees or different transfer fees that they shouldn't have been charged. And so we sat there at the escrow office, and I informed the title agents that my clients would not sign until those fees were taken off. And they changed it.
Awesome.
$1,500 later.
Yes.
And my clients were so happy. And to this day, when I see them, they say, "You saved us so much money." And that's not something when you walk into a new build that you're thinking about any of that end part or even really knowing about the whole process of what you're going to be confronted with. So having an agent there with you and describing every part of the process and what's happening, it's a must.
Very important.
Yeah.
You talked a lot about the contract, and what are some of the specific differences between the new construction contract that's more tailored towards a builder versus like a resale contract? Are they very similar, and
No.
they're just some of the things
Well,
are
there's
different?
some of the things that are similar, but I think a lot of people don't
like negotiable,
realize.
like closing costs, stuff like that.
No,
As
that's
a real estate
not
agent?
negotiable. That will be, set in the contract, and that is set in the resale. But there's lots of little lines in the. So in the new construction contract, a lot of people don't pay attention, but a builder has up to 2 years to build your home. And that's an every new construction contract. But they will give you a timetable. Well, we think we can be done at this time,
Dang.
but they won't give you a date.
Right.
But they never tell you up front, well, if we run into trouble, it's in the contract, and that's in every new construction contract, giving that builder 2 years. So there's a lot of things in there giving the builder a leeway.
So is that time frame negotiable in the contract at all, or no?
Not
it's just,
now, in a resale, the time frame is very
sure,
firm.
yeah.
But no, in a new build, a lot of people don't understand the power that the builder has. And the builder gives themselves that power because of supplies, of, the whole construction itself, of workers. They never know if they might run into a hitch and not be able to get a lot of people to get things done, or different companies. So they really do. But this really can play havoc on people's lives because they've sold their home. They're in an apartment. They're waiting to go into their new build, or they've,
And they're in this really small, confined space with so many kids for up to 2 years.
Well, and you just don't. Those are things that I say the contract is written for the builder, and that if you're not represented, I try to say to my clients, let's do a time plan, because they're telling us this is it, but we don't know. Let's wait and watch the house start to get constructed. And then I also explain to them, if they have a contingency and have to sell their house, then obviously we have to sell for them to get this new built. But if they don't, let's wait as long as we can.
What EM do they typically require for new builds, or earnest money?
It's
Does
different.
It vary? Some require
right
larger
now,
amount.
most of them are requiring about 10 to 12,000, and you don't get that back because they're going to start building a home.
Sure.
And that was I had an elderly client who went. I was out of town. I said, "Please wait. I'll be right there to write the contract," and they didn't, and they put $30,000 down. And that was on a Friday. And I got home, and we went back to the builder on Monday, and he wanted his $30,000 back.
Oh, man.
I said, it's hard money, and I had tried to explain that to him, and please wait for me. But I think a lot of people, that's what that agent isn't going to go into the detail.
Right. So having that agent on the buyer side, just having your best interests at mind, and those fiduciary responsibilities that an agent needs, you're not going to get if you just walk into a new build and they're representing the builder, and then there's you, and you pretty much are just going along with what they say because that's what
and
it
I
is.
think they're very nice, and you feel like they're helping you, and they're going to help you, and not that they're not very nice, but I think as consumers, please always remind yourself that they don't work for you.
So who are the best agent-friendly builders out there in Phoenix?
Oh, gosh, that's a hard
Don't
question.
throw anybody under the bus.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who the builder was that said it was a lifelong, when you signed in. But there are a lot of, I really like working with Mary Kay and Ashton Woods. They are ones who I've had my clients go and sign themselves in, but I have been working with my clients for a long time, and I went back to these agents and said, hey, I can show you contracts I've written for them. They were just out on the weekend and came in, and they've been very kind and easy to work with, like, yeah, okay, you can represent them and come back in.
Sure. So have you seen other ones where, they sign in and you go and you're representing and they say, sorry?
I've lost them. I've lost a lot.
And then has that turned out bad on the buyer end of things? Any specific instances that you can remember?
Yeah, I do. The hard thing is that, then my representation stops. And
it
then
stops, right? You're not allowed to.
And they wanted to keep calling me. And I would try to help when I could. But it's hard, I even had one send me their settlement statement. Can you tell me if they... And I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not representing them. So it puts you in a hard place. But they still trusted me, and they didn't realize what they had done. And then they wanted the house, and I don't blame them. I would tell my clients, you get the house. But, it doesn't always work out. And when there are issues, it's hard to solve them on your own.
Sure. So what part of the valley do you work in? Are you valley-wide, or are you more East Valley, West Valley?
I've sold and helped buyers buy homes all over the valley, Buckeye, Scottsdale, Peoria. But I would tell you, I know the East Valley. I tend to stay in Chandler, Gilbert, Queen Creek, Santan Valley, Ahwatukee. That is where I really know the areas, but I do go everywhere. But I try to get to know an area if my client is looking somewhere that I'm not 100% before I go out there.
So you'll do your homework and know.
Yeah,
and
because
become more
everywhere,
familiar with the
right,
area.
because there's a lot of different things in different communities that you need to know.
So if somebody watching this is going to be going out and looking for a new home, how do they get a hold of you?
They could go to look at for me on New Traditions website. I have my own website at christinebearrealestate.com, and or you can go to my Facebook page, Christine Bear, and then you can contact me through that. And my last name is Bayer, just like the aspirin, Bayer, and it's Christine with a CH. I would love to help anyone that is looking for new construction and just give them any kind of advice and walk them through this process. I love it. I love being a realtor.
Any last, suggestions or whatever, or advice for newer real estate agents that are looking to do the new home builds or new home sales or anything like that? Do you have any, having done it for a little while, is there any suggestions that you would recommend?
I think a lot of new agents, they sit back and they wait for business to come to them. And I would say, as even as a seasoned agent now, if I get someone that says I have a rental, and you don't make very much on rentals, or I'm looking for a rental, I take everything and I put myself out there every day, and that leads to more business. You can't be waiting for that big deal, because that big deal will come, but you have to do a lot of little deals to get that big deal.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that advice. Thank you for being on Real Estate Pros on Lister Pros TV, Christine.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Okay.